My first guest tonight is one of those you can say is an outsider in the Nigerian political arena. Joining me tonight is a media entrepreneur, the publisher of Sahara Reporters, and a presidential aspirant, Omoyele Sowore.
If you want to talk about education, I'll probably be the first candidate at this time who has a master's degree in public administration from an Ivy League school in the U.S. I graduated from Unilag, and I went to the U.S. and obtained a master's degree at Columbia University in New York. I don't want to brag, but I'm more qualified than any of these guys that you have out there today who are running this country. That's why I said the other day, without missing words, when I arrived in Nigeria, that I can run this country better than the current rulers or leaders. Even in my sleep, this country will be run better than they are. I'm convinced that President Buhari, having disappointed and failed as a leader, and disappointed majority of Nigerians will lose in 2019.
What makes you feel so? Because, and when you say someone fails, how do you describe what
were his plans for coming to power? He promised security, but the people of Dapchi know better. Boko Haram is still flourishing. They said they will bring about.
You say flourishing.
Boko Haram walked into Dapchi, picked up 110 girls. When they were done with the negotiation, they walked back and even addressed a rally in Dapchi. It's never happened in the country. It happened under Jonathan, but they weren't that brazen. It shows that they are virtually upgraded in terms of their audacity to do what they like. He promised that they will make this economy better, they will fight corruption, but you know what their corruption is about. APC has a list today that's a joke. PDP has a list. But they are doing us a favor. When we come to power in 2019, we take the APC list and the PDP list, and they can then go figure it out at the EFCC.
But when you're talking about President Muhammadu Buhari, perhaps you've lost sight of the kind of person he is in terms of political mileage that he's gotten over the last years. He's contested about 4 times now, and if you look at he's lost 3 times. But at every point that he contested, he's gotten nothing less than 10 million votes.
So let me do the math for you. He used to get 12 million votes from people who believed that he could deliver, and they included people in Benue. They include people in Plateau. They included people in Borno who thought that he could do it. They included Nigerian young people who felt that he would give them employment, he would give them a corruption-free country, he would give them electricity, he would give them, a country where people are not stealing. But all of those people, if you take them out, I just came back from Kano, well received. We went to Kaduna to have a town hall meeting, huge reception. And what we heard in the North in particular, which was shocking and amazing to me, was that every person we met was, especially poor people, Talakawas were saying, we want our children to go to school. They kept saying Makaranta, Makaranta, which means that they know that if their children are educated, they have social security for the future.
All right.
Buhari has failed completely to deliver on that.
No credit at all for this government.
Oh, come on. If there is, it will be on your show.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So let me talk about what you plan to do differently.
Yes.
I've seen some of your 8-point agenda of your manifesto. You said you're going to create 5 million new jobs.
Yes.
100,000 minimum wage to federal workers. 17 million new homes.
Yes.
Power capacity to 24,000. How do you hope to achieve this? First and foremost, 5 million new jobs. How do you hope to do that?
So, if, for example, we build 4,500 megawatts of electricity through solar alone in northern Nigeria, right? It will create nothing less than 1 million jobs. Because just to put the pieces together, as they did in Morocco recently, Morocco is now supplying power to France and Malta, just because through solar, it will engage nothing less than 1 million people. If we hire 200,000 teachers that we promised to do first quarter in office, it will hire 1,000. If we purge the civil service of ghost workers, 80,000 of them in the police alone, and we put in real people, that will give us nothing less than 500,000 jobs. If we put Nigerians to work to build power lines, bridges, rail lines, and the construction site that we plan to put Nigeria into, we're going to have 2 million people engaged there. If you start agriculture, I'm not talking about agriculture of the old people where they claim that rice mills are folding up in Malaysia or Singapore, whereas there are no rice mills in Nigeria. Real agriculture, we'll have 1 million people. If we give people electricity, which is what we promised, we'll light up this country And the potential of the Nigerian youth, which is innovative and creative, comes to be technology is the biggest industry we have. That will be another 1 million job. Already we've done 5 million. We have not even gone to NNPC yet, or oil, because oil is lazy economy.
How do you hope to win an election in Nigeria, a presidential election? You are from Ondo State.
There's no magic about it. Since I've been around, going around the country, I've been in the East, I've been in the Northwest, I've been everywhere. And all Nigerian young people are asking for is a leader who can take them to progress and prosperity, right? Winning the election, see, these guys are relying on paper money as we speak. They've even forgotten that there is currency that is called cryptocurrency. They have no idea how the world works. Just like when I started Sahara Reporters 12 years ago, the media in this country didn't know anything about new media. They were relying on physical newspapers. And I told them, look, these newspapers are going to the museum. They didn't believe me. Now they know better. So there's a lot more that's out there than what they're used to. They're relying on togs, you know, branded rice, Ankara, and all of that.
You have not told us how you hope to win an election.
I'm just telling you that we're going to be canvassing the way we've never done before. Who is doing town hall meetings now?
All right,
all of them. I've been to the
question
East,
is,
I've been to
where
South,
do you
South,
get your funding from?
Open, transparent funding. On GoFundMe, for example, we've raised over $20,000. The plan is to raise $200 from 10,000 Nigerians. So far, $20,000 raised, and we're far away. We're still 10 months to election. So, and we are not spending too much money because we are not bribing people.
Okay. And so the question is, on what platform are you running?
Coalition of parties. Clear.
One of the presidential aspirants, Professor Kingsley Moghalu, of course, he's been on the program before now, has chosen to run for president next year on the platform of the Young Progressive Party, YPP. The former deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria has also spoken and condemned the status quo in the political space. Why did you choose YPP as the platform?
Because I'm vested in the politics of the future, and I think Nigeria needs a new type of party, politics without greed. The parties of the failed, old, recycled politicians, the tired old parties, the tired old men, the umbrellas that block out the sunlight of hope, the brooms that sweep away the truth and tell us lies and propaganda, those were not the platforms for me. I needed a platform that is focused on young people, but is inclusive of all ages and focused on the future. And that's the YPP, the Young Progressive Party. Well, the YPP is a party that is present in all 36 states of the Federation, and as of today has formal structures in 30 states. And we will have state structures in the next 6 states within a very short while. I have invited hundreds of thousands of my followers, millions of Nigerians, to join the party and let us build the future together. So we have the structures. The YPP is a grassroots-oriented party. And what I can tell you is that structures and realities, political realities, are constructed by human beings. Most of the millions of Nigeria's population today want to construct a very different reality in 2019, and you will see it come to pass. Let me tell you something. New dispensations, new transformations all over the world and all over history, they always start from the outside, from people who are thinking outside of the box. You don't change the system that is rotten and broken from inside it. You must start from outside. Slavery collapsed by a challenge from outside. Colonialism was not stopped by the colonizers. So, the political quagmire in which Nigeria finds itself today cannot be addressed by those who are the problem. They cannot give you the solution. It has to be new players, people who think differently, and that is where you'll find me, and that is where you'll find the YPP.
Let's live in some practical reality of our time, politically speaking. Let's take ourselves away from the virtual reality of the recent politics of about a half of a decade or so, where social media has played a major role. Realistically speaking, Professor Moghalu, you've been academic, you've been in the financial sector, you've been in the development and human capital sector. Realistically speaking, do you think you can defeat a Buhari candidate, for example, who's had about 12, 10 million vote bank over the years, if he gets a ticket, and if you get a ticket, do you think you can stand shoulder to shoulder with a Buhari candidate, for example, realistically speaking, and do not let us deceive ourselves in front of millions of Nigerians?
Shall the people who are deceiving themselves are the people who believe that nothing will change. The people who believe that there is no hope for Nigeria, but that we must be stuck with failed political leaders. I am not one of those people deceiving myself, and that is why I am not going to be supporting the old political order. I've told you, realities are constructed by human beings. Right now, there are 74 million people on the voters' register, probably up to 80 as we speak. And I can tell you that definitely more than half of those people are young people who want a very different future under a very different kind of leadership. I am offering myself to lead Nigeria into the 21st century. We can't continue voting for what has kept us poor, what has kept us millions of young people unemployed, what has kept us divided. This country is a killing field today.
Professor Moghalu, you're speaking about what, sorry, if I may butt in, you're speaking about what has been described as a disruption of the political space. How do you think that this disruption can happen? That's the question.
That's precisely what I'm explaining to you, Sharon. This disruption will happen, first of all, because millions of Nigerians want something different, something new, something bold. So the disruption is possible for two reasons. First, because the situation in which we are in a country today, as a country today, is terrible. We have 9 million people have lost their jobs in the last 3 years, Sharon. We have a society in which people are being killed in their homes and in their communities as if the state does not exist. Our law enforcement just watches, helpless. So this is the situation today. Nigerians are not happy about it, and they want a change. And they're looking for people who will lead them into a very different future. And that's where I'm offering myself to do that job. And I'm telling you, a different reality is going to be constructed in this country. We're going to have a peaceful political revolution at the ballot box. First of all, for that to happen, you must believe. First of all, believe. It is possible. It is possible. Let me tell you, Sharon, on May 29, 2019, I will be sworn in as the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Go and write it down.
Fela Durotoye is not a new name, especially when you're talking about leadership. But he's new to politics. He said he's entered in the nation's top job. So a lot of people have said and rumored online. I have him here with me in the studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Fela Durotoye. What exactly is the problem of this country? A lot of places that I've traveled to, you hear how much potential this nation has in mining, in oil, and nations that do not even have up to the capacity of what we have as a nation are thriving. What exactly do you think is a problem in this country?
Well, let me quickly say that, nobody anywhere in the world, like you said, has ever doubted the potential of Nigeria, especially as a nation. We're a blessed country. We're a blessed country. We're blessed in natural resources, but more importantly, in human resources. We are the largest black nation in the world. And then combined with the fact that we are actually, if you look at the map of the world, Nigeria literally is right in the center of the nexus of world trade. So if you really look at it, we should be not only and do we have the capacity to be able to maximize our mining and other resources, but then we should be the logistics and production base for the world. But we have not yet seen that potential manifest. And I believe that potential is not a blessing to a nation. Potential is a call to responsibility for every generation to maximize this. This is what I believe. And the only challenge that we have found that between potential and the reality of the greatness of any nation is something called good governance. And good governance is very simple. It's not a hypothetical, no. It's simple. When good people who have a heart for the people, a love for the nation, who have the capacity to be able to take the best decisions on behalf of the people, when the brightest and best of the nation are given the opportunity to be able to serve the people in all the elected and appointed offices, as well as in the bureaucracy and in the private sector, when the people who have the capacity are given the opportunity, then you have good people in governance. The problem with Nigeria so far is that we have not yet seen a system that produces naturally good people into governance.
Really? I mean, a lot of people, so you're talking about the leadership system in Nigeria?
Oh, yes. So there's a leadership system that I call selectocracy in Nigeria.
What does that mean?
The selectocracy simply is a kind of system whereby the access to positions of authority and, in some cases, power is in a sense determined by a few people who have a higher interest in themselves and their own select interest than they have in the interest of the general public. So in the political parties, for instance, I know that in most of the political parties, we have heard of times, and we have seen times when young people have tried to run for either office of local government chairman or whatever the other offices are, and then there are certain people who arrogate unto themselves the right to decide who will go as an aspirant to become a candidate.
Does this not happen in other climes?
No.
In the United States?
No, it doesn't.
I mean,
look at if you remember, right? And a Barack Obama was not the preferred candidate of the Democratic Party. The establishment candidate was Hillary Clinton. Remember that? Remember that Donald Trump was not the preferred candidate, and you mentioned that at the beginning of this show, right? The preferred candidates were Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz, and all of these guys. But there was no Baba Oke or Baba Saleh, no godfather anywhere who had the right to tell one person, step down. That was given to the people. How did they do it? Very simple. The political parties give voting rights to the members of the party, not just delegates. They give voting rights to the members of the party, especially at the primary elections level.
So basically, do you say, or are you saying that is a breakdown in the leadership structure, or there is a leadership failure in Nigeria?
Oh, well, I don't even know whether to call it a leadership failure, because what we have are not leaders, and we have not seen leaders really emerge in Nigeria. What we have are rulers, and we have to call rulers for what they are. Rulers are people who typically lord over others, believing that they are better than others, believing that they know and others don't, believing that they have certain powers that the others don't have. And typically, rulers, not leaders, tend to be able to suppress and depress the desires of people, the capacity to be able to aspire for anything and to be able to try.
All right.
So let us be clear, Sean. We have not seen leadership in Nigeria.